All right, guys, so thanks for tuning in. So today's going to be kind of a fun day. We're handing off one of our builds to a friend of mine, and you guys probably have heard of him. His name's Craig Lieberman. He has a pretty active YouTube channel, and he's very active on Instagram, mostly because of his Fast and Furious info. He was a technical advisor for the franchise for, I believe it was for 3 of the movies, a little bit on the 4th as well, but mostly 3 of the movies he served as technical advisor. He's decided to start reviewing modded JDM cars, and when we were chatting last, I've known Craig for a long time. He mentioned to me a while back that he had some interest in starting to review some JDM builds. I offered up whatever we had in our fleet, and so today he's coming down and we're gonna hand him the keys to the NSX, and he wants to do a review on the car. So he should be getting here any minute, and when he does, we'll walk out there and we'll kind of show him around and see what he thinks. Yeah, so we got Craig here. I love this R35. I love this car.
What's going on, man?
Sounds awesome.
Good to see you.
Good seeing you. How you
What's
been?
going on? Got a lot of treats in the parking lot here.
Nice and warm day.
My
Huh?
son would like that S chassis over
Yeah.
there. What do you got going on today?
All right, so
We're gonna get that NSX today?
we're gonna hand over the keys, and you're gonna go out and play and have a good time. And this car is, relatively stock. It's a stock motor, with the exception of towed ITBs.
What year is it?
It's a 99.
99.
It's making about 300 to the wheels. So it's not crazy fast. We had an option. We could have done a full build on this car and got into internals, but that wasn't our intent. Our intent was to build something that was fun, reliable, AC works, makes great noise. When this thing goes into VTEC, the sound that comes out of those trumpets is just sensational.
Is it using the original motor, the 3.0, or did you
No,
go to the end 3.2?
it's actually a 3.2.
Okay.
Yeah, 99, they were all 3.2s. It's a 6-speed. Factory
right,
6-speed manual.
When did it switch? I forget.
Let's see. It would have been 96. I think 96.
Yeah.
Maybe 97. I can't remember. Alex would know.
I have to look it up. Honestly, I don't remember.
But yeah, so it sits a little low, and of course it's got spoon seats. We did a lot. Craig, we did a lot of work to this car. I talk about the downforce body kit, which consists of pretty much the entire front clip, the fenders, the hood, the bumper, the side skirts, the wing, the rear bumper. Everyone was talking about how amazing their body kit is, and it's a great body kit. The problem is we spent nearly double the amount of money we paid for the kit in just labor to make it fit. So it was a lot of work to make this car look like these parts belonged on it.
The whole thing's aluminum, for Christ's sake.
I know. It's an aluminum car, but right now it's running fiberglass front end parts. It still retains the aluminum quarter panels, doors, deck lid.
Well, that's the trick, isn't it?
And we did something different too. This was a Kaiser silver. It's still Kaiser silver. And when I bought this car, it was bone stock, right down to its original alloys. 50,000 miles on the clock. Completely original stock car. And we did a deviated painted roof to match the wing, kind of like a Type R type deal. I put a little metal flake, silver metal flake in the top paint.
Well, get it in the sun, it should stand out nice. These mirrors are badass. Cool.
So those are spoon mirrors, and I love these mirrors. They have the blue glass, which I love because it kind of matches the spoon calipers in blue. And I absolutely love the mirrors on this car. Of course, they're not electric, so you lose the electric portion of the mirror. But
well, if it's only you driving it, you set it once,
exactly.
You forget it, yeah.
And we did something a little different. So their original bumper, Craig, just so you know, it was different. This line came all the way down and dipped around this nose. And we essentially remolded this entire front bumper. This is an interesting bumper. It's a combination of the exposed headlight version front end and pop-up headlight front end. So this is the newer model mounted to the bottom with the top part, reflective of the original pop-up headlight style. I'm a huge fan of the pop-up headlights. So I wanted to, people were saying, oh, why don't you convert convert to the exposed headlights, and of course it changed. This hood actually drops down even farther, and the headlight comes closer to the into the bumper. I didn't want to do that. I like the pop-up
I'm on the fence
headlight
myself whether or not I like the pop-up headlights. I remember the day that I thought pop-up headlights were the badass thing.
Yeah.
But with the NSX, you know, the glass headlights, I can definitely see the attraction to those.
Well, these are cool looking headlights. So I don't know if you've seen this, but when these pop up, it's reminiscent of a 355. I love the headlights on this car. They're just really good looking, and very similar to what a Ferrari 355 would look like, you know.
I think if they had done it more like the 300ZX / Diablos, where the headlight was down here and it was, you know, just had glass over the top of it, I wonder how that would have looked. But
could have been
you
cool.
know, purists would look at it and say, well, that's the way it's supposed to be, you know.
I know. I mean, you know, I had an NSX, a 92 NSX, and it was, you know, bone stock, and it was the 3-liter 5-speed car. It was just okay. You know, it made no noise. It was relatively, it was like driving a Honda Accord.
And it was NA, and Honda motors don't typically have a ton of torque. And by that time, I was looking at when Japanese cars, the good Japanese cars were like the 3000 GTs and the FDs and the Supra. Yeah. I bounced back and forth. I drove a buddy's NSX. I said, well, it's a fantastic car, but no turbo. Yeah. There's not even an option for a turbo. Yeah. So, and I knew myself at that point saying, whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to put more boost in the fucking car. Okay? I knew that for a fact. That whatever I was going to be driving, whatever boost it came with it, they were going to get a lot more. Yeah. And so an NSX was just out for me. So I never had the opportunity to own one of those cars.
Yeah, we you know, Alex bought one a few years back that was supercharged. And it was a great car. It was, I think it was a 2002 yellow car. He loved it. I enjoyed driving it. But this was kind of I wanted to build one myself. And like I said, the noise this car makes is just sensational. It's got Pride titanium exhaust. It's got a Pride downpipe, and the exhaust is just sensational. We had to work on the exhaust tips to fit properly inside the holes. You know,
center them up. I'm
just so particular about this. And I updated the taillights. I still have the original taillights, but these are the 2002 model taillights. So I went with the little newer style taillight. You guys, just so you know, I've been following Craig for years, and we go way back.
Way back.
We go
Kaizo days.
Way back. Yeah. So we started, and you know, Paul Walker was a dear friend of mine. I had a lot of his cars in my warehouse at the time.
I remember walking in there. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
It was a mix. Half of them were his and half of them were mine, and we built some cars together, and we had a lot of fun. We did a lot of track days, and you went to a couple of those track days.
The video. I got to send you that video. I still have it. It's on my YouTube channel.
I'd love to see. I think I saw it recently. Someone forwarded it to me, and it just brought
the red car.
Yeah, the red R34. So I had an R34 GTT that I turned into a GTR. I welded quarters and put GTR. I basically turned it into a GTR. It had an RB26, but it was rear-wheel drive. Just so you guys know, I'm a huge fan of GTRs, but I'll take a GTT with an R34 body any day. About 750 pounds lighter, rear-wheel drive, a lot more fun on the track, in my opinion. But
as the video will show.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun that day. You had your Audi.
My RS4.
Your RS4. Yeah, that was your camera car.
That was my camera car.
I love that car.
Perfect camera car. 70 miles an hour on I-5 going up there with Running of the Bulls that year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Craig, I've been to the track. I can't even count. That was probably the most fun I've ever had.
That was a good day. Jason Statham was there in the 350Z.
Jason, I gave him driving lessons.
There you go.
In the 350Z, one of the dollar cars I got from Nissan. And Alex, who's not here right now, he learned to drift in that car that day. And he went on to get his D1 license and became a pro. And,
it was a landmark day.
It was a fun day, man. And I'll never forget Jason Statham. Paul invited him out to the track that day, and a couple of guys were with him. That I believe Tim Whitcomb. I haven't seen Tim in a long time.
Tim was there, yeah.
He's a good dude, and don't forget Tanner was there. Tanner Faust and
Matt Farah.
Matt Farah.
James Chen.
Yeah, James Chen. That was a huge day.
Richie from AE.
Yeah, Richie
remember?
was a big part of that,
That's
that
right.
event.
They brought in the whole trailer.
We had a blast, and we had so much fun. If you get a chance, check out his old video. It was a great day at that track event.
I actually mentioned Tim in the credits. As a matter
Did you really?
Yeah.
Tim's a good dude. I
Yeah.
follow him on Instagram, and I love that guy. He's just super nice guy. But
here we are now, what, 11 years later, something like that? I think it was 2009.
I think it was later than that. I think it was maybe eight or I can't remember.
Okay, I have to look. I don't remember.
We're about the same age, and I'm having a hard time remembering what I just had for
breakfast. I use that with my wife all the time.
So
yeah, we're going to be doing Japanese classic car reviews because there's a lot of people who do great videos on YouTube. You know, everybody's doing great videos on YouTube. Right. But what I feel is missing is like a person who's owned some of these cars and now going back and revisiting them, you know, with a kind of a fresh view and years of experience owning and driving different cars. And just kind of give my impressions, mainly because it's nostalgic for people our age who are still watching YouTube, and people are car fans. And there's a lot of young people who are getting ready to start buying these cars as they become 25 years old, and they can start importing these cars. Right. Because there's a lot of cars that have come legal to be at the legal age, and others are warming up to be legal.
And we're taking advantage of that. We've been buying. We've got a 95 GTR. We have an FD, a 92 FD, and we've got a couple JZX 90s on their way that we're going to build for track events. But yeah, we're taking advantage of that too. You know, I'm a fence walker when it comes to cars. You know, as you can see, I got Camaros and European cars and American cars, and you know, I love cop cars. I have a bunch of old, you know, restored police cars.
So, an old MR2, right?
Yep.
You got a Fox body Mustang.
That's a Florida State Trooper, original Florida State Trooper car.
And then you got this old 3 Series sitting up there.
That's a full M3 converted cab. Full, you know, can you tell I like doing that? Because standing right here in front of us looks like a 1M with skinny tires. It's actually a 135, and we've got a build video on this car, but we converted this car to a full 1M body, you know, all factory welded quarters, you know, factory fenders, no aftermarket stuff. And we did a little build on this car. This thing's a little screamer. You know, 1Ms are through the roof. They're 75, 80 grand for a clean one now.
Because they're lightweight, man.
Yeah, and we picked up a clean 135 I for, I think we paid a little over 22, 23 grand for it with low miles. We did a mild build. It's making way more power than a one. I think it's 400 to the wheels, and we're going to put, you know, wheels on it.
What does this thing weigh? 3,200 pounds?
It's, you know, it's in the mid threes, I believe, mid threes. But it's short wheelbase, fun little car to drive, and these things just naturally turn sharp. But yeah, we've got all sorts of things. We've got, you know, I've got a highly modded R33 there, and I've got this Mk4 Supra that you're familiar with. You've had tons of these. Just about 700 to the wheels on this car. This is a beautiful.
And that's right at the point where it starts to get silly. You know, 700 is like, oh hell yeah. Yeah. But 900 is like, oh no.
I know. I don't see, you know, and it's funny, as I'm getting older, I feel the need to not. I want air conditioning that blows ice cold in my face.
Speaking my
language. You know, all these guys are like, oh no, we're going to pull the AC out. I mean, you're crazy.
Take the AC out. I'm going to be cambered with 5 degrees of negative cambered.
It's not me.
And I'm going to be dragging frame, and I'm going to 2-step this. I'm going to cut the mufflers off the cats, straight pipe it, no down pipe, just let it go.
We're all about building stuff, and we like doing these one-off builds. As you know, we're doing an FJ project where we're putting electric windows in the suicide doors of FJs, and we like building those things that no one else, you know, everyone talks about. I like staying focused and doing that.
And I like driving those things that other people build, because my wife will divorce me if I start buying these cars again and start building these cars.
I know this guy loves 69 Mustangs, and I know he loves Series 1 240Zs. I have both of those cars buried in my warehouse, and I want you, and this is something that I want to talk to you about, and I'll share this with you guys now. We have a beautiful Series 1 240Z, I believe it's a 70, and we want to do a G-nose kit, and I want you to help us build it.
Let's do it.
And we'll share it together.
Let's do it.
Because we did one, we put an RB25 in it, and I put a full G-nose kit in it. And, you know, I love your taste. You know, you've got some really cool taste. The studios rent a lot of cars from me over the years. And so that's how Craig and I know a lot of the same people. As you know, I did the 4th installment, the Bayside Blue R34 was one of my cars. And we built that for the movie. And of course, they brought in a whole slew of GTTs put East Bear body kits. We
Right.
decided East Bear body kits, and so Craig and I had a lot in common. I wasn't a technical advisor. I was literally just the car guy. He served in the capacity of being a technical advisor and gave a lot of input and really helped gather a lot of those cars for those first couple
I would have
movies.
rattled down your job actually, because
Mine was not
what
stressful
the
at
f is
all.
danger to manifold? What is danger? No, that's got to come out. You know, nobody in the car world's going to see this yet. But
so funny.
we have crossed paths over many times over the past 15 plus years now.
And we grew up in the same time period.
Yep.
So, you know, we had Mercury Caprice growing up, and we had some of the old cars that no one else would probably appreciate on
When all of our
watching these
friends were
channels.
driving muscle cars, we were driving S30s, and they were like, what the hell is that? The Japanese crap.
I love those cars. So, you know, I'm going to call you, and we're going to pull that car out of mothballs, and it's bone stock green, the caramel colored interior, and we're you know, Alex and I've talked about, okay, we got to stick to Nissan, so we're going to build an RB26 or at least a 25. You know, maybe put a 2.7 stroker kit in it and make it all sorts of horsepower. I'm a huge fan of the G-nose kits. I'll push up a car we built
I always
recently.
wanted to build one of those. I never built one.
Yeah, well, you're going to love it because you get to share it in your garage, and your wife won't hate you because, you know, the cars I build, I don't sell a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense to co-build with someone else that's going to enjoy it, and we'll build it together. It'll be great content for the channel.
Well,
I
got to be honest. I've been looking for an excuse to buy a set of metric tools.
Yeah, you know, I have a toolbox sitting here, and it used to be full of tools, and I've made the mistake of losing the key, so I never lock it, and everybody thinks it's theirs to use, and so I go in there to pull a tool out, and it's not there anymore, you know, so.
All right, so let's talk about the engine. It is the factory.
So it's a factory. It's a factory motor. You know, like I said, when we acquired this car, it was bone stock. It's a '99, so it's a 3.2 liter motor, and it's running the factory 6-speed gearbox. You know, we as I said, we didn't want to do any internals on it. We just really kind of wanted to wake it up a little bit and give it that crisp sound. You know, these are Toyota ITBs, and the thing that's great about the Toyotas is the sound that they make when this car goes into VTEC. It's just insane. You know, it's got the Toyota racing fuel lines as well. It's running Doucheworks 450cc injectors, and it's, you know, it's not running. Obviously, it's not running the stock ECU. It's running on the stock fuel pump, but it's running. I believe it's AEM. Yeah, it's the Infinity 6 standalone ECU, and then also we've got. You know, the exhaust is what really wakes this car up. It's the Pride stainless headers, a resignated test pipe, and the Pride RFL, the V2 titanium rear exhaust. So the sound this thing makes, it's just, it really is so exciting.
Yeah,
when you get
once it comes into VTEC.
Yeah, oh my God, it's the greatest sound ever. And you know, you really got to get it. When you take it out on the road, you really need to stretch its legs a little bit and get it up into the VTEC. Yeah, because the sound will literally, it'll make the hair stand up, you know. This was one of our first video builds we did, and you know, you'll find it on our channel, but I'm excited that it's getting its legs stretched. You know, when we get it back from you, we're going to do another color sand and buff on this car because it's ready for another color
it looks
sand and buff.
Perfect. You're going to have to really be a nitpicker.
Well, I am, and I see everything, and of course no one else sees what I see, but that's just me, you know. But yeah, you know, because we had the Toyota ITB, we're going to have this whole area is not, in my opinion, it's not great to look at. So I have a replacement can here, the radiator reservoir. I have a replacement for that. It's really a nicely done piece. And then we're going to have B-side fabrication build a catch air basin for this area right here that's going to direct the airflow to to the trumpets.
Where's it going to pull exterior?
It's going to pull from the hole here
hole
on the side, which it comes in from the quarter panels. And you know, we're going to do a little push here as well, but mostly it's going to be from this side. And this is going to be a catch base, and it's going to be nice. It's going to be pleasant to look at. So we're kind of excited about doing that.
What are the shocks on it? I can see they're adjustable coilovers, but what are they?
I think they're reaction coilovers, and they're custom valved with Swift springs. You know, the wheels are the Volks, they're TE37s, and I think I mentioned to you.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. So, you know, remember they had staggered fitments. It was a skinny, smaller diameter wheel, like a 17 in the front and the 18 in the back. Wasn't the way, was it? Or was it 16 and 17?
I think you're right the first time. It was 17 and 18 on the later models.
Yeah, so it was kind of, I remember because when we had them for Too Fast, Too Furious, it came with staggered fitment.
And it just wasn't good to look at because all the NSXs had flat wheel faces.
Yeah.
And so what we ended up doing, these are 10 mil fenders, and we worked the hell out of these fenders to make them look OEM.
It's interesting that you noted that the factory side markers which went here, were replaced with the more USDM side markers.
Wanted that to give it that kind of unique look, so when you see the lights, they turn on as they should. Again, we could have left the turn signal you know, placed inside the fender, but I wanted to give the appearance that these are factory OEM fenders.
Well, it matches the back too, but I'm going to get a lot of hate. $5 says I get the first 5 comments saying, why didn't you change it to the JDM marker, side markers, to take them right? Watch.
You know, and that's okay, they could say that, but you know, it's my car and I get to do what I want.
Absolutely.
So
it's got the Targa roof. What do you do with the top?
You know,
stick it in the trunk still?
Yeah, well, I believe it used to fit in here, but we took some of the bracketry away because I didn't want to hide the Toyota ITBs.
I can't imagine that going in there.
Yeah, it actually would fit and clip and stay here in place because there's a cover that we've removed. You know, I've never driven this car with the top off. I actually planned on doing that in the coming weeks, but so yeah, you'll get to take it with the top off and see what that's.
I'm gonna have to take that thing off and lay it down on my garage floor because I'm not putting it anywhere because it bounces around.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
But you know what we do with interior is you know, this car is the lowest car I've ever owned. It's low to the ground, and you know, the big complaint that I had about NSXs, and I remember when they first came out. The electric power seats were so fluffy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 6'2". I couldn't get comfortable in the car. The seat wouldn't go back far enough. There were so many issues that I hated about the NSX in terms of, I think they were made for little Japanese guys. I don't even know how tall Alex is, but he's short and he has short legs and he can fit in anything. And I get in it and my knees are hitting the steering wheel. And you know, the older you get, the harder it is to get out of these damn things. And so we went with spoon seats. It's great because literally I have to push the seat up a little bit to hit the clutch. We went with a Science of Speed short shift adapter, which is really cool. And then we went with Type S, the shift stock, you know, an NSX R shift boot. And we put this racing wheel on it. It's a Spoon Sports 340 millimeter leather steering wheel, and it's got a Works Bell short hub. And it's got that Works Bell hybrid GTC flip-up system, which is so cool. Now,
I've never seen one on a car, actually.
It makes it so easy to get out of this car. You just kind of unfold yourself from it and plop yourself onto the ground and then help yourself up.
Yeah, it's very dignified.
So we kind of did the spoon setup on the interior, but you know, the interior is relatively stock. We were talking about changing the interior color at some point. You know, maybe having the seats redone in a red and do the door cards in red. But it's so clean, I might just leave it.
It's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Just subtle, because it's at the point right now where these cars are appreciating in value pretty drastically. And so if you deviate too far away from the stock equipment list, there are going to be purists who properly would be a candidate for buying one of these cars in this exact condition.
Right.
But once you go past a certain point, and I'm the king of going past a certain point.
Yeah, okay? We all are. Yeah.
And they're going to look at it and say, well, you know, to restore it to OE.
And that's the thing. You know, that was my option, right? Because this was a really nice, clean, original car, bone stock. And we bought it from an older gentleman who just had 2 of them. He had an automatic and a manual, and decided he was going to sell the manual. Yeah, you know, hey, to each his own. So we ended up taking it off his hands, and you know, I was worried about what you just mentioned. But you know, I didn't buy this for collector value. at some point, you know, you have to say, okay, what lane am I staying in? Am I staying in the collector lane? Okay, well then guess what?
You're leaving it alone.
You can't drive it either. You have to keep the mileage low to keep that value up. So I decided I'm gonna drive it, and in driving it, I'm gonna do the mods that I like.
Well, I'm of the same mindset. If you're gonna have a car, you should be driving it. I mean, my R35 has over 50,000 miles, and it's 7 years old.
And I love that.
But I drive it.
Yeah, I love that, because you know, there's cars that I don't drive. This Camaro here, it's a 2015 and it's got 3,000 miles on it. And you know, mind you, I have 40 something cars, you know, that I've collected over the years, and so and you know, I'm in the dog rescue world, so I'm not putting dogs in a Camaro or in a GTR or in a Supra. I'm driving the minivan around, hauling the dogs around mostly. So I drive what's most convenient. But yeah, I agree. There is that issue, and that's a big issue that a lot of people don't.
Well,
you know,
this
think
thing
about.
You're going to cash out sooner than later, because in 2024 the Camaro's done.
Right.
It's done.
Right.
Okay. So unless something happens and they produce it as a 4-door electric hybrid sedan, like they're doing with the Mustang Mach-E. Then this thing is done. So people are going to be clamoring for these low miles, top-end edition Z28, Z01s, and all that.
The Z28 is the only Camaro they ever offered with factory, you know, carbon ceramic brakes at all 4 wheels. And let's face it, it's a handshaker car. You know, there's everything's going to automatic. This is the driving experience in a manual transmission, and I know you drive a GTR, and I got the first R35 in the country.
Don't get me wrong, I still love a manual.
Yeah, you've got the R34 sitting over there. Yep. It's a different world.
It's a different world.
And so, you know, and this is something that, I don't know if you can relate to this or not, but I've said this to the manufacturing world, because, you know, we have some interesting relationships with these manufacturers. When are they going to make an electric manual transmission? It could easily be done. You know, get something engaging to drive. I think if you really want to sell people on the electric car, put a manual transmission.
Well, they did it. The first car that I drove was an Acura ILX, which is a CVT that has a paddle shifter, and that's the first one I've ever driven like that.
No, I mean a clutch car.
I know what you mean, but what I'm saying is manufacturers will probably say, well, we already have that in form of a paddle shifter.
Right, and
no,
they don't get it.
Yeah,
they don't get it. There's a difference between doing this and falling asleep, and doing this and having, you know, your mind figure out, okay, you know, how do I get up this hill?
There's kind of good news. The new Acura that's supposedly coming out.
The new NSX?
No, the Integra.
Oh.
They're talking about giving that a manual shift.
Ooh.
A true manual.
Wow, that'd be fantastic. I'm telling you, whoever comes up with that idea first is going to have a home run. As long as it's a sports car, it's going to be fun. You know, yeah, it's not going to make all the sounds that these cars make. And that's the things, those are the things we love.
Imagine the day when you're going in, when you order your sound system, there's 2 sound systems. The one in the car that plays CDs or MP3s, and the other one that plays speakers under your car to make it sound like a Ferrari.
I know, isn't that ridiculous?
No, it's kind of funny.
It is funny, kind of but by the way, this has got
by then, so.
This is, yeah, I know. Okay. This has got a stock stereo, and it's hideous. You know, and this antenna comes out about 12 feet.
All the music comes from right there. There's no music I need to hear.
I turned the stereo on the other day, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so archaic. I turned it on, and it's like the dial, and it works.
I turned on the stereo the other day, and I was listening to autotune, and I'm so glad I saved my Def Leppard DVD or CDs.
Dude, I got to tell you, though, it's so funny. I turned the stereo on. The car was running, and all of a sudden, I thought the fuel pump was acting up, because this antenna makes so much noise. I'm like, holy shit, the fuel pump. And I'm listening. I'm like, oh, that was the antenna.
God, I haven't heard that sound in 20 years.
You're going to love it. It makes a lot of noise.
You know, the last time I heard that was when my Supra was stock. Seriously.
Really?
That's the last time I heard that.
Yeah.
1998.
But, you know, it takes you back, you know. And you know, look, as I get older, I like things that take me back to those times. You know, those good times.
Yeah, usually for me it's ex-girlfriends, but you know, you do you, boo.
I'll do me, I guess. Yeah, man. No, I'm excited. I can't wait for you to. I can't wait to get your feedback. And here's the thing. Here's the reason why I do that. Okay. Yeah, obviously you don't do it from the top.
No, of course not.
But when you do it from the bottom, you don't close them all the way, and what happens is you get fingerprints all over the glass. But usually I hold them by the tip and I just let it drop, and it closes all the way.
Gotcha.
I'm excited to see what your take is on this car. Enjoy it. Look, I trust you. You know how to drive. You know you've had so many of these cars over the years. You're going to enjoy it, and I can't wait to see what your thoughts are on it. But enjoy it, and you know, take the top off. Take your wife out. You got your aviators. You're all good to go. You're looking good. Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. Dude, this is going to bring back old school stuff for you.